Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Andrew Wiebe. I'm Nick Furshaw, looking at the biggest headlines in North American soccer today, and none bigger than a brand new contract for Landon Donovan, a multi-year deal revealed on Wednesday during a press conference out in LA. The LA Galaxy superstar now with a 3-year deal. That's what's being reported, and the contract numbers with incentives and bonuses, performance-based, could be the highest paid player in MLS. What do you make of the deal?
Well, I don't think this was a surprise to anyone. We heard about it the day before. It was just a matter of what kind of financial investment the LA Galaxy would make in their star player. You saw Clint Dempsey coming to MLS with Seattle Sounders get that massive deal for an American. Certainly a big deal, but I think this is perhaps even bigger. Landon Donovan, the face of this league. You make sure you lock him down. LA, make sure they lock in what could be a potential dynasty. Remember, Robbie Keane re-upped as well, and Landon Donovan said it in the press conferences afterwards. A lot that went into the decision had to do with where MLS is going and where he thinks it stands. For Landon Donovan, if guys like Robbie Keane want to be here, Clint Dempsey want to be here, his future is also going to be here, and we know he loves Southern California. It had to be a pretty easy decision for him with that kind of money on the table.
Yeah, Robbie Keane signed a new deal earlier this year, and then we had Omar Gonzalez signing a designated player contract earlier this summer. So all 3 DP slots taken as for now for the LA Galaxy. As for Donovan, alluded to some interest from European clubs and in Mexico, including David Moyes and the guys out in Manchester United. A subtle reference that, yes, he'd had some conversations with David Moyes, but he wasn't going to get into specifics. Nonetheless, Landon Donovan staying put in Major League Soccer. You can log on to MLSsoccer.com to find all the details. Next up to the action on the field on Wednesday. The San Jose Earthquakes back in action in the CONCACAF Champions League group stage. They were on the road in Guatemala, and a tough one for them. They go down to Heredia, a 1-0 loss that puts them in a very deep hole right now through 2 games in the CCL group stage.
Yeah, their hopes hinge on those home games. 2 at Buckshaw Stadium, where they're 8-1-4 this season. Reason to think that they can get 2 wins. The question is, will that even be enough? Heredia with 2 wins in their first 2 games. I don't think anybody saw that coming. The Montreal Impact also with 3 points, 3 points ahead of the Quakes, who, as we said, have nothing. It's going to be a tough climb. But fortunately for MLS, San Jose, the lone team that really is in a dire straits right now. You have Sporting Kansas City on 6 points, have won their first 2 games on the road. They're coming home, assuming that they'll win the group. The LA Galaxy, I think everyone expects them to be in the knockout stages and make noise. Just 1 game played, but they have 3 points and certainly are in control of that group. Then the Houston Dynamo also winning earlier this week. They're on 4, but you would still expect them to go through. So far, the group stage is good for MLS sides. For San Jose, they've got to be hoping for a miracle.
Well, log on MLSsoccer.com/CCL, and as for the Quakes, it's a short turnaround, and that trip back up to the States from Guatemala. They're back in action on Saturday night in the California Classico against the LA Galaxy. Last but not least, I want to talk about the supporters headed to Columbus for that big US-Mexico game on September 10th and how the American Outlaws are going to play a part. There was a bit of kerfuffle on Wednesday involving the groups from Columbus and Seattle, enough to draw an official response from the American Outlaws and for US Soccer to intervene. See if you can explain this to me. How are fans not getting along?
Well, I don't know if I can explain this one to you. I think it's all still a bit of a mystery. We saw each side coming out with their own statement, as you said. Nobody's backing down really from their rhetoric. Columbus saying, we want to run this. American Outlaws National saying there needs to be more organization and bringing in other people from different areas. What it comes down to is 9,000 people are going to be in that stadium as supporters. You've got to organize them somehow. That's a much bigger number in the past. Who's going to do it? We'll still have to wait and see on that one, but I have a feeling that this will get worked out before the game. There's more important things than some fights between friends.
Again, about 2 weeks to go before that US-Mexico game on September 10th. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more on the latest edition of Extra Time Radio. The podcast comes out on Thursday on iTunes, Buzzsprout, and Stitcher Radio. But before we go, I want to mention fantasy because it's getting very, very interesting now as we hit the stretch run in Major League Soccer. Explain to the people what we have now, a knockout tournament in fantasy.
Yeah, there's more than just your individual leagues. MLS Fantasy Cup is officially here. It starts in round 28. More than 16,000 of you will be eligible, but you have to be signed up for this week, and you've got to be one of those top 16,000 scores. So go in, get your fantasy team started. It'll be Single elimination all the way down to MLS Cup. Some prizes, some MLS gear, money there for you at the end. So get in, make your team, and get it set for round 28.
And check out the starting lineup video, which will be posted on MLSsoccer.com on Thursday. Andrew Wiebe and our resident fantasy expert, Jason Seguini. Log on, fantasy.mlssoccer.com. We'll be back with another edition of The Daily tomorrow.